Look at this peacock. Who the hell does he think he is? The words, sharp and laced with venom, cut through the morning air right outside the 21st Metropolitan Police Precinct. The man in the white silk shirt didn't flinch, his gaze steady. Then came the shove, then another, and finally a fist cracked against his jaw, snapping his head to the side. A drop of blood fell onto the pristine white silk, a tiny crimson star on a field of white. But as the officers laughed, their chests puffed out with arrogant power, the man slowly turned his head back, a terrifyingly calm smile playing on his lips. What secret was hidden behind that smile? And how could a single punch outside a police station bring an entire corrupt system to its knees? Are you watching this from your office, your home, or on your lunch break? Wherever you are, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell because the story of what happened next is a lesson in power, prejudice, and the kind of justice that is served ice cold. The morning sun cast long, sharp shadows across the concrete steps of the 21st Precinct. Standing calmly at the bottom was a man who seemed entirely out of place. Dr. Marcus Thorne, the newly appointed Chief Commissioner of Police. He arrived 3 days prior with a mandate for radical reform, and his first official day was to begin in less than an hour. He believed that to understand a beast, you must first observe it in its natural habitat, undisturbed. The 21st Precinct was the heart of the habitat he needed to understand. Officer Frank Miller, built like a refrigerator and seasoned by 15 years of brutish entitlement, spotted him first. "Look at this peacock," Miller grunted to his partners, Officers David Vance and Scott Harrison. "Who the hell does he think he is?" Thorne, impeccably dressed and unapologetically present, was a violation of Miller's simple worldview. The three altered their path, a pack of wolves zeroing in on an easy target. Thorne did not flinch. He met their approach with a steady, direct gaze of pure, unnerving assessment. "You got a problem," Miller sneered, stopping a foot from Marcus. "You staring at something?" Marcus remained silent, his calmness a stark contrast to Miller's coiled aggression. This silence was not weakness. It was a diagnostic tool. Marcus was gathering data, and the data suggested the cancer in the 21st Precinct was worse than reports indicated. Miller leaned in. "I asked you a question, boy," he spat, using the demeaning term. Vance snickered, pulling out his phone. Harrison shifted, sensing the violation, but paralyzed by the pressure to conform. Marcus finally spoke, his voice calm and measured. "I was just admiring the architecture." The unexpected answer only fueled Miller's rage. "The architecture?" he mocked. "Mr. Fancy Pants is an architecture critic. This ain't Olympia Heights." With a sudden, jarring movement, Miller shoved Marcus hard in the chest. Marcus, trained in defensive tactics, absorbed the impact his feet planted. He didn't even rock on his heels. Enraged, Miller shoved him again, harder. "You think you're tough? You think that fancy shirt makes you a man?" For a fleeting moment, an imperceptible smile touched Marcus's lips. He was not a victim. He was a scientist observing a predictable reaction. "I'm going to ask you one more time to state your business here," Miller demanded, his authority on the line. "Or I'm taking you in for loitering." The scene had drawn onlookers, including Desk Sergeant Patricia Nguyen watching inside on the security monitor. This calm was the final spark for Miller's temper. "You think you're above the law?" he roared. Without another word, he drew back his right arm. The punch was a blur. A brutal hook cracked against Marcus's jaw. His head snapped to the side. A small crowd gasped. Vance let out a triumphant "ooh." Marcus staggered a half step, then slowly brought a hand up to his mouth, touching his split lip. A single drop of crimson fell onto his white silk shirt. The period of observation was over. He turned his head back to face Miller. The calm was now predatory. A faint, chilling smile played on his lips. They thought they had assaulted a random citizen. They had punched their own judge, jury, and executioner. "That's what you get for resisting," Miller yelled defensively. "Now you're under arrest." "On what charge, officer?" Marcus asked, his voice steady. "Assaulting an officer," Miller blurted out. Vance quickly backed him up. Miller and Vance began a rough, illegal search. They slammed him against the brick wall. They found his wallet, platinum card, out-of-state ID, and cash. Then, Miller found a metallic object in the suit jacket, an ornate police badge and an ID card. "Playing cop, are we?" Miller crowed, holding it up, impersonating an officer. They couldn't conceive that this decorated captain's badge was real, much less that the man before them was their new superior. "Officer," Marcus said, his voice cutting through the gloating, "I'm going to advise you to stop. You are currently in violation of Section 4, Subsection B of the Patrol Guide concerning unlawful search and seizure. Your filing of a false report, a classy felony, is being witnessed by at least a dozen citizens and the precinct security cameras. The precise legal language shocked them into silence. I would advise you to place my identification back in my jacket and wait for a supervising officer to arrive. Inside, Sergeant Wynne watched, horror dawning. She saw Miller holding the badge. She knew the new chief commissioner, Dr. Marcus Thorne, was due at 9 a.m. It was 8:58. She saw Captain Evelyn Reed striding toward the door to greet him. Oh God, no, I didn't. Captain Reed stepped out. Officer Miller, what in God's name is going on out here? Miller tried to lie, claiming the man was loitering and aggressive, impersonating an officer. Reed's gaze settled on the bleeding man and the badge dangling from Miller's hand. She looked from Miller's aggressive face to the man's unreadable, authoritative eyes. Sir, she said, her tone shifting to professional respect. I'm Captain Reed. Can you please tell me your name and what happened here? Marcus pushed himself off the wall gently. He looked directly at Captain Reed, ignoring Miller and Vance as if they were furniture. Captain Reed, he said, his voice formal and resonant with power. I'm Dr. Marcus Thorne, your new Chief Commissioner of Police. I believe our meeting was scheduled for 9. It appears I'm a few minutes early. A profound silence fell. Reed's face transformed into horror. Miller's face drained of blood. The arrogant smirk evaporated, replaced by raw, primal terror. The badge slipped from his nerveless fingers, hitting the concrete. The sound of 3 careers shattering. The victim disappeared, and the commissioner emerged. Captain Reed, Marcus barked. Secure this crime scene now. I want a 10-block perimeter. Sergeant Wynne, get out here. Call Internal Affairs. Tell them the commissioner is invoking a Code 1 investigation and to dispatch their top team immediately. He turned to the 3 officers. Officers, place your hands on the wall. Interlock your fingers behind your head. Do it now. They scrambled to obey. Captain, disarm these 3 individuals. Then you will personally cuff them. The humiliation was symmetrical. A.S. Reed cuffed Miller. Marcus recited their fate with chilling precision. Officer Miller, badge number 714. Officer Vance, badge number 882. Officer Harrison, badge number 92. You're all under arrest. You're being charged with felony assault, conspiracy, filing a false report, and violation of civil rights under color of law. You have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you use it. The 3 men, once proud cops, were now criminals, arrested on the steps of their own precinct by the man they had assaulted 6 months later. The trial was brutal. Miller was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Vance received 5. Harrison, showing remorse, received 3 years probation. The message was unequivocal. Marcus Thorne's full-scale audit had led to the firing of 7 other officers and demotions. Captain Reed was promoted to deputy commissioner, becoming his trusted right hand. The bloodstain on his shirt had become the symbol of the department's rebirth. Marcus had won his war by letting the system show its ugly face, giving him the perfect evidence to dismantle it.